Guys, I'm John Green from Crash Course, and basically I'm going to be talking about absolute rule today. So to start, absolute rule, I'm going to start with the definition. Absolute rule is God granting power upon the Pope, and then the Pope granting the power upon the King, which the King is then the absolute monarch upon the people. Well, of course, it can be a king or a queen. And the Pope, when he gives it down to the king or queen, they have divine right. Absolute rule. Next, I'm going to talk about how, well, I'm going to mention in early times in Europe, absolute rule, it was an absolute monarchy, like what I'm talking about. If you're an absolute monarch, you shall have two main qualities or characteristics to be at least succeed, and there you should be a very effective and a very efficient leader, which that means the leader should complete tasks quickly and well. So you're very efficient, you get it done fast, and you do it correctly. To continue, when a king has absolute rule over its people, he has money and power through the people. He has money and power through the people in his country, and also he has glory through influence. When a country has absolute rule, the people don't have opinions or ideas for the government and what the government should do. So the people are basically very limited to what they can do, really have no rights whatsoever. And all the authority and all the decisions are made within the king or the queen, which makes the decisions, which they make the decisions in the government. Absolute rule was anti-religious freedom, anti-science, anti-open mind, and anti-reason. And these are things that show how the people, these are some ways that shows how the people didn't have like any freedoms, and they're so limited to what they can do within absolute authority or absolute rule. The last thing I'm going to talk about is how absolute rule relates to the 30 Years' War. Absolute rule was in effect during this period. It relates firstly to the 30 Years' War. It relates to the 30 Years' War through the Act of Supremacy, the Edict of Nantes, the Edict of Restitution, and the Defenestration of Prague. First, I'm going to talk about the Act of Supremacy, and this is all through Henry VIII. Henry VIII is an absolute ruler that was involved in the Act of Supremacy, as well as the Church of England. Next, I'm going to talk about the Edict of Nantes, and how absolute rule is related in that. The war is between the Catholics versus the Protestants. It started as a holy war and then progressed to a political war, so it was politically. During all this, the rule was within the countries. During all this, the rule within the countries revolved around the ruler over the Pope. And this is showing how the king had, or the queen had, this is showing how Henry VIII had supreme authority, and he was an absolute monarchy over his people. Thirdly, absolute rule relates to the 30 Years' War through the Edict of Restitution. The Edict of Restitution was a period in the 30 Years' War after the Danish phase. The Edict of Restitution takes back the Peace of Augsburg. The Edict of Restitution reduced rights, and the wealth, power, and land goes back to the Catholics after this, the Edict of Restitution. This relates to absolute rule because the people's rights were very reduced. And this just shows how the people, again, don't have much freedoms back then during absolute rule as we do today in our democracy. Finally, the 30 Years' War relates to absolute rule through the Defenestration of Prague because people were thrown out of windows, several stories high in buildings. The people didn't even have a say in whether they wanted to get thrown out or not. They just were thrown out by the king and like his people and just whipped out for being either Catholic or whatever you believed in. Well then, thank you for watching and joining me, John Green, Road History Crash Course. Like, subscribe, and comment what you really liked about this video and what you learned, because I am very interested to hear. And please join me for my next episode on the French Revolution. Thank you, and have an awesome day. I'm John Green, and peace out. See you next video.